Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News, coming to you from the beautiful Ocean State, Rhode Island, and Providence plantations. Didn't get much sleep last night, but this story I'm about to share with you is wild. I mentioned this yesterday on Dave Neal's Community. I said, biggest story of the year dropping in 20 minutes, and I wasn't kidding. People were like, really? You think this story is that big? It is not ending. And it has just been taken up a notch. Nick Viall doubles down on his opinion that essentially contestants that go on reality show are asking for the treatment they're going to receive, and that's fair because of the fame and following they get out of it. I'm going to let you listen to what he has to say. I've always been a big proponent of criticizing the point and not the person. But when somebody doubles down on the point, you start to criticize the person and think, good golly, I cannot believe this is happening. It's a workers' rights issue, even to the point where Nick's producers seem to be pushing back. And I have to give them, and I don't understate this, an incredible amount of respect they are earning from me for speaking out and sharing their opinions when their boss has a different opinion. I think that's very healthy to do, especially when, and as we pointed out, Nick provides some health insurance, which is great that his company does that. I hate that we live in a country that we have to get health insurance from our employers, because you might get an employee who has to share their opinion and wonder maybe they'll get fired. I'm not saying this would happen, but if that were the case, they would, of course, lose their health insurance. There's a lot at stake here is what my point is. So we're going to get into this story right now. Yesterday, we made this story controversy over Nick's wild response. And by the way, before I get into this, I do want to shout out Allie from Hawaii. I was walking from one terminal to another at LAX airport last night, and just was in the lounge with my wife. We had a glass of wine and some dinner. And as we were walking through a corridor, I made eye contact with someone, and as I walk by, they go, "Dave Neal," and I turn around, and she goes, "Oh, I watch your channel." So she was in Los Angeles on a layover from Hawaii. So big shout out to our friend of the community, Allie, for checking in with us. Always good to see y'all out there live and in the flesh. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play what Nick said, what his producers are saying, the response that we're getting from others, including the therapist, Dr. Isabel Morley, right here, who we interviewed. That'll be aired tomorrow. And the therapist has a lot to say. And of course, they work with this foundation. It's a nonprofit. Nobody's making money off of this. This is not a money-making venture. It is a nonprofit where they're trying to raise money to help negotiate better work conditions. So we're going to go through this with a fine-toothed comb here and listen to what has to be said. And do yourself a favor and listen as well. Be the judge.
A lot about how in the industry, like when there's like specifically in the entertainment industry, like I feel like something people talk about all the time is like, oh, people treat their assistants really badly, and then the assistants become the agents, and then those agents treat their assistant, and it becomes this like cycle. And so I guess
that's a job, though. This isn't a job, even though some of these people want it to be thought of as a job.
Okay, so here's where we disagree. Nick says this isn't a job. Now, there's a lawsuit out there, actually. And if it's not a job, why are they getting paid, right? Nick was on The Bachelor. He was paid for his employment. Ask the IRS if that was a job, Nick. Ask the IRS if you paid taxes on the $140,000 you were paid to be The Bachelor. So why is it a job for you, but not a job for them?
I guess I'm just like, just because other people had to endure things, like why are we against just like improving quality of life for everyone? Like
amazing. I'm going to try not to interrupt too much, but an amazing take. Why are we against something that is so basic, which is to just help out? My response, respectfully, people are just trying to do good and help others. That's all that's happening here. That's all that's happening. No one's going to go poor if the conditions are improved for reality TV stars. This is the hill I am willing to die on. It seems as though this is also the hill Nick is willing to die on.
Why does it need to be...
Oh, Nick's girlfriend agrees.
No
fiance.
Living wage. Why does it need to be like no food?
Because literally thousands, tens of thousands of people would be so grateful to be in the position that people like Nick Thompson would be in, who was gifted 333,000 Instagram followers, which is a essentially a lottery ticket worth tens of hundreds.
So it appears he's using the whataboutism. No, not really a whataboutism here, but he's saying other people would be so grateful for this opportunity. Well, I guess we should just F us, F everybody, right? If there's always going to be people willing to do an opportunity, it doesn't mean that opportunity doesn't lead to exploitation. This actually reads very much like a Weinstein argument. Well, these young actresses knew what they were getting into going to the Harvey Weinstein casting couch. 1 million people show up to Los Angeles every year for the opportunity for fame and fortune. They knew what they were doing. No, Nick, there's a position of power here. And there is a huge, huge display of that power by exploiting the contestants who, even though in some way or another might know their story, it will be exploited, everyone still thinks they won't fall prey to that because we all think we have the best intentions. What we forget to realize is that the environment that is set up really weighs against what a normal person would, it's not natural. So because of the lack of sleep and lack of food and drink and other social media, phones and family, loved ones, community, social circle, without all that, we resort to the ugliest version of ourselves. And that's just not needed in a show about finding love.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars if he tried to monetize it, which he has. Like, I just think people are so unaware of the special treatment that people like myself and all other people who go on the show and the access they are given and the opportunities they are given. I mean, I remember seeing, the cast of Love is Blind season 2, other Chicago people at Coachella. Coachella tickets cost what? A lot? VIP Coachella tickets are over $1,000 and they don't pay for it. And then they get to go to all these parties and they get to meet all these people.
All right, case closed. You get to go to a concert. I guess you're allowed to have your character exploited. Look, we've heard bad takes before, and this is just the worst take. And it feels to me that Nick feels emboldened by having this take because he was on reality TV. And I think what people like Game of Roses have talked about, it's you're not the villain. And even if you have played the villain in the past, Nick was lucky enough to be the villain, 4, 5, 6 years ago when social media, something changed over the pandemic, and a lot of people's mental health has really declined because of that. And it's apples and oranges because Nick was on a completely different show. So he's sharing from his experience. What's really important for therapists to do is to not invalidate someone else's experience. And we know Nick's not a therapist, but he has mentioned wanting to become one. Invalidation is one of the most damaging forms of emotional abuse. What's scary can be one of the most subtle and unintentional abuses. Now, of course, this is in relationships, but what he's doing is he's completely invalidating the stories that so many people are telling. I'll get back to Nick in a second here. And again, I'm doing this right now. I'm recording this from my parents' screened-in porch, okay? I have no access to all of the bells and whistles. I didn't sleep much last night, and I'm still able to put together very, I believe, solid arguments completely eviscerating whatever point he's having. He says it's not a job, and yet he paid taxes, I'm assuming. Hey, Nick, if you didn't pay taxes on the money you received from your job working on The Bachelor, the IRS is going to come after you. It's a job, Nick. So much so that Jeremy, who has sued Kinetic, the company that operates here, Love is Blind, the production company, Jeremy says that they were treated as freelance employees. And yet, and maybe, I don't know if this is true, I'm not privy to all the information that is going down in the court case, but apparently Kinetic may have issued W-2s on behalf of these freelance people. This is a work issue, folks, and we have to protect each other. Now, I'm in a union. If I were to, there's a potential strike coming up with the Writers Guild. If I was in the Writers Guild and I decided to work and cross the picket line, I'm a scab. I'm a scumbag. I am going to be shamed out of the industry because solidarity, and if I had the right buttons here, I would press the national anthem button. Solidarity and unionship and coming together is the only thing we have to improve conditions, which got us the 8-hour workday. when kids and adults were being exploited and working in coal mines too long and this and that. It's the only thing that's it's the solidarity that's helped people that worked in the burn pits in the military get the proper treatment after coming down with cancer, and the 9/11 victims that have come together and fought over the abuses they had to go through and the lack of treatment they received. The solidarity that we see in France happening right now, where all hell is breaking loose because people are lighting shit on fire to defend their basic human rights. This is a violation of that. I gotta tell you, I'll listen to some more. I don't know if it'll get any better, but it's a yikes take.
Made money from the show. Yes, I have brand deals. I would give any of that away to feel how I did before I started filming.
That's Danielle. She's on She's All Batch podcast and talks about the nightmare filming conditions on Love is Blind. Of course, she was having very, very, very scary thoughts, she said, during the filming, hiding in the closet as her anxiety raged on because she didn't want to be filmed. They're not allowed to quit the show without a $50,000 penalty. Guys, I think for the most part, we're on the same side. Fame will always exist. Like I said before, it's part of this late-stage capitalistic world we live in where people are looking for better opportunities out there, and a lot of that comes from having an influencer, social media following, but that doesn't mean that is a equal trade-off to the poor conditions on the set. And we call it the set because it's being filmed on a TV show because they're employed.
And they get to do these sponsored posts.
They get a bunch of free shit.
And they get all this free stuff.
Who cares?
It is insane, the opportunities that these people get. They get access to meet some of the coolest people in the world.
So let's replace that. All you got to do is blow Harvey Weinstein, and you'll get all these opportunities to star in all these projects. Wasn't it worth it? Sure. Come on. So if you replace it with other areas where we've seen huge violations in the entertainment world, it is an issue of power dynamic being exploited. Let me say it one more time for the people in the back. It's a power dynamic issue.
And so many people would love to be in their position and willing to be in their position. So if they don't want all this amazing opportunities, they just shouldn't have done it. And they all sign a contract that essentially, I don't know what the Love is Blind
Victim blaming.
like, but I'm assuming it's close to the Bachelor contract, which is like a really thick packet.
So he's arguing for a point for a contract he hasn't read.
Essentially on every page says, you're a guinea pig. If we want to, we can destroy your life. And everyone who's signed.
And what's happening is the good people at the Unscripted Cast Advocacy Network are trying to change those contracts moving forward. They're trying to say, hey, we need bargaining power and leverage and rights for the employees, much like you would have in the Screen Actors Guild.
Signs that contract, goes, but can I be famous? Do you think I can be famous? Is there a chance I can be famous? In their head, it's just like, they all sign it because deep down, they think to themselves, it's not going to be me. I'll behave myself. And it's worth it.
I'm gonna defend Nick in this way, and this is where I'm gonna give grace. When we have a point we want to make, we latch on to all of the proofs of evidence that would defend that point. He's probably feeling defensive because some real heavy hitters are coming after him, and he's doubling down on that point. I believe the point to be wrong. I believe he's slightly off on what he's arguing. He's arguing the fame aspect. Let's give you that, Nick. Everyone wants fame in one way or another. Everyone wants security in their life. Everyone wants to be okay. Nick knows he is in that boat. He knows he wants that. He's, one of the more successful people in Bachelor Nation that was on every corner as the Bachelor made its turn. Oh, there's Nick, because he he campaigned himself, much like a president would, for the different roles that exist, and he capitalized on that. So I can agree with him that, yeah, everybody in some way or another wants some form of fame, security, protection, to do well, but it doesn't, just because that exists. So what does that mean? We just can exploit everybody because they want fame? We got to whittle it down to what does it mean? What does it mean, Nick? Are we allowed to exploit? I mean, you could argue, what if let's not just say fame. Let's say power. Everyone wants power. I use power as an example because power is energy, and fame is energy, and so is money. It's all equity, right? Power is equity. Well, your partner wants equity and power in the sense that she wants to know she's provided for and taken care of, and you guys aren't going to go broke and all these different things. Does that mean you can exploit her because she wants power and equity? So he says fame. Let's talk about equity. Fame is is having a social media following where you can, have options where you're not working for an employer. You're more independent. That's okay. I don't think we need to shame people that are seeking that, and I don't think that's a good excuse for exploiting them.
It's worth the opportunities. I see all the people who went before me who get to do all these crazy cool things. This is a literal once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something I would never otherwise have an opportunity to do because I don't have talent. I don't have any agents or managers banging on my door, signing me, and I don't have advertising agencies banging on my door offering me 5-figure or 6-figure deals, by simply just posting something on their social media platforms. And even if they don't get offered deals, 333,000 Instagram followers. Imagine all the small business owners out there who spent their entire life thinking about a business idea, and it's been their dream, and they saved and they sweat to save up, and then they had to spend thousands of dollars on marketing and have it go nowhere. He has 333,000
What the hell is he talking about?
Network channel. It's like a channel. It's incredible power. It's a lot of,
and that power is being used to raise awareness. They're not making money off of this. They're dealing with people like you that are completely disregarding their lived experience. If Nick Thompson was Nicola Thompson or a female, we would be roasting Nick to hell right now for the sort of victim blaming that he's doing.
Ticket and the entitlement of these people is just beside me. And I found out that they started a page, this essentially like a donation page. It's called You Can. I'm not going to give the website because
well, then I will. It's called You Can, and it's youcanfoundation.org. Unscripted Cast Advocacy Network.
It's absolute bullshit.
Wait, who started this?
I think it was Nick. I think it was Nick Thompson, and there's some Jeremy guy who was also on.
Jeremy's got a lawsuit. We interviewed him. You guys are all up to date. Jeremy Hartwell had a lawsuit from the week he was in the pods and had a terrible experience with his conditions.
Season 2 Love is Blind. He was on it for like 3 days, but he talked about how he was.
It doesn't matter if he was there for 6 hours. If they violated the employee-employer conditions that were there, the lawsuit's out there. It's happening. We'll have to see how it all plays out.
Deprived of food and water.
Can I go on to that deprived of food or water crap that they're out there slinging? First of all, have we watched Love is Blind, right? In these, in the pods section of the season, right? When they're in the pods for, I don't know, what is it, 2 or 3 weeks or something? They're in these little,
in the pods?
there's a little
10 days.
kitchen in there.
Yeah, 10 days.
I've talked with many cast members. They stock it with food.
I mean, Bliss was making cookies.
Bliss was making cookies?
They had flour.
When I was in the Bachelor mansion,
soda.
when you're in the mansion, every day they have you make a grocery.
But the Bachelor mansion does not mean that the conditions were fine on Love is Blind.
They're like, hey, we're busy now. We can't bring you water or whatever the fuck. To act like they were deprived of the proper nutrients in food, it's just ridiculous to me.
Listen, if in SAG, you get a break at a certain hour, and if you don't get that break, you're penalized. They have to pay you more. These are normal things. So Nick's making it sound like, even if they're throwing a bottle of water here or there, that it's okay. These are human beings. This is a first world country. If you have a job in a condition like this where you don't have access to your basic human rights and your basic the things you need to survive and thrive, you should also be taking it up against your employer.
That it's a bunch of crap. It just is. It's just a bunch. It's like when Kelly Flanagan, when she was just like, oh, they basically locked me in a room or something. No, they didn't. They probably had an ITM, and then she was like, I want to go see Peter, and they were probably like, oh, Peter's busy right now, and you can't go see him, and then that turned into, They refuse to let me see Peter, and shit like that. They are making a TV show. It is not an all-inclusive resort. It's not an all-you-can-eat buffet where I honestly think some of these people think it's like some sort of magical vacation they get to go on. And at the moment where they're like, hey, we're busy right now, or we can't do this. And I'm not saying it's not psychological warfare. I'm not saying it's a very difficult experience. They literally tell you, the show says it's a science experiment.
All right, so he's using the tool of exaggeration to say it's not some buffet or some Disney resort, and I don't think anyone's arguing that it needs to be. I think everyone's arguing for basic rights. So here's what Dr. Isabel Morley said. She's the head therapist. We interviewed her. It'll be up tomorrow, and she's at UCAN Foundation. Wow, this is a doctor. A therapist. You are the problem. This is directly to Nick. Human rights violations matter, even if it's to reality TV contestants. They're gifted followers. Trust me, they pay for those followers. And I believe she means it by the price of, fame. And followers don't equal real fame or wealth anyway. In this country and in all developed countries, we don't have a threshold of who deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. We protect everyone's human rights. Also, why does this make you so angry? Why does trying to help people cause this reaction in you? People have committed shocked after being on reality TV. I think she meant suicide. When will the problem be serious enough for you, says Dr. Isabel. And then Jeremy responds, it's frustrating because he could do so much good, but instead he's chosen to spew propaganda he knows to be false to protect the status quo. We're going to wait on a response from Nick and see if he says anything further. My response, as I said, was people are just trying to help others. And it looks like we don't have a response yet from Nick. But I will say this. It's not looking good, folks. So, like I said before, the foundation is a nonprofit. It is there to provide therapists, and there are some good things happening. I think, let me see if we have the comment here from Dr. Isabel Morley, and you can go follow her on Instagram if you want to give her all that fame. But she talked about... you know what, I'm not going to pull it up right now because we're running late on time with this video, but she talked about all of the therapists that have reached out that want to help. So maybe there'll be therapists that do pro bono work. So if you've been on the show, therapists can reach out to you. Not therapists that are provided by the show who have an agenda because they're being paid for the show, an ethical concern, but actual therapists to help people navigate a very tough time. Lives potentially will be saved here. This is a good thing, folks. You can donate if this irritates you. Maybe it makes you irate. If you feel dismissed, unlistened to, I urge you, if you have the funds, to donate to the cause. Lastly, I'm just going to share the Instagram story because I don't think I got to that point from Nick's page here. But let me just go here. This is the Instagram story that drove people up the wall here.
Page says, don't you think it's time to help the cast? If everyone who watched reality TV donated just 1 month of what they pay streaming services, we could solve this issue forever.
The audacity. Wait. There's so many problems going on in this world, and these
So many problems going on in this world have nothing to do with the humanity that these people that are seeking.
Want you.
There's always a worse problem in the world. It's what can we do now in our country, in our workplaces, to affect change.
To solve this world problem of the poor reality TV star who got to go on TV and become famous for no fucking reason.
And they're playing this sad music. They're really I'll be quite honest. When I said this is the big story of the year, I really hope at the very least Nick will have Nick Thompson or Dr. Isabel Morley or somebody on to properly speak to him about this. I hope rather than just sort of, I don't know, it's almost like he's dissolving the points down into an argument that he can defend, but that's not what it is.
He gifted an Instagram followers, but let's solve this problem. Let's truly solve this insane problem, because once we solve this problem, the world will be a better fucking place.
Like, no problem.
Give us your $14.99, because you know what? We don't have trees to say. No, we have poor reality TV stars who aren't smart enough to monetize their Instagram.
The donation page.
Absolutely atrocious, folks. And hey, I'm not a reality TV star. I have no stake in the game here. but I'm really disappointed. Let me know what you guys think. That'll probably be it for me today. I've got a Bachelor Rush Hour podcast for you guys that is up, and I interviewed Susie Evans, and it's a good one. And if you want to check that out, I got a couple clips here. You can go check that out. It's a 3-camera shoot. The audio is up right now, bachelorrushhour.com. And boy, I'd love to know what you guys think about this. And I know it's not ending. It's only beginning. All right. Well, we'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.